You are listening to the best of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, our Season 1 finale.
It's time to take a TO with coaches Turner and O'Neill. Produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy.
It's time to take a TO with coaches Steve Turner and Casey O'Neill. Your new favorite podcast features conversation from the world of high school, college, and pro sports, along with other riveting content. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at turneronpodcast, or visit www.turnerando'neill.com. Be sure to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, and other popular podcast platforms. We also bring you Inside the Podcast each week, where you can view the podcast via our YouTube channel. Join the thousands who watch each week. Thanks to our partners, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, the Insurance Alliance Group LLC, our sponsors, O'Neill Development LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, Peace Players International, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, and Collins Funeral Home. And our donors, Justin O'Neill, Winsight Media, and Redwood Investments. Take a TO with Coach Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy. Now we welcome you to today's episode as we take a TO with coaches Turner and O'Neill. Here's your host, Kurtis Cross. You are listening to the best of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, our Season 1 finale.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, Take a TO with coaches Turner and O'Neill. Welcome to our first podcast. Gentlemen, how are you feeling?
Doing all right, man. Excited, anxious, ready to get this thing going.
Coach O'Neill.
I feel the same way. I had a little R&R at the beach last week, some good time to reflect, and ready to rock and roll.
Well, I thank you for making DJ Krissy and myself a part of this. We are super excited, and we're going to jump right into some good stuff. I think over the course of all these podcasts, we're going to find out a lot about what it takes to put this together. I hope our listeners are going to get to know a lot about you guys. I hope we open some minds. I hope we learn some things as well. But I'm excited as well, so thank you for this opportunity. But I want to start off show one by saying happy birthday, DJ Krissy. She is engineering behind the board for our first episode on her birthday. So happy birthday, DJ Krissy.
Happy
birthday. Happy birthday.
These guys didn't know it was her birthday. Casey O'Neill's like, what? It's your birthday? So thank you, Krissy. She's been loyal to us for years and years. And once again, behind the board.
Coming up on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
The starting five. Coach Casey O'Neill, you are first. Best meal you had this week?
Wow, best meal. I am a pasta guy.
But I think it comes from what I've been able to do with our program at Gonzaga. And, you know, there's a lot of times that we're playing in these showcase events across the country, and the USA basketball people are there.
That year, that 2018 season was probably the sweetest since the first time we won it. And to be able to do that with him and to see those guys work hard. And again, we just mentioned it in the last segment, to deal with adversity, right? That's the number one thing we teach kids in sports, is to deal with adversity and how to react.
Then to see the last year with you and your son going through it together, and then your wife and your kids being, you know, your daughters being able to enjoy that experience. I don't think you can put a price tag on that.
When were you able to, take off the lacrosse hat, the coach hat? When were you able to say, Cole, I was real proud of you today? Not as a coach, but as a dad, it was just all, or whatever that conversation is like.
Coming up on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Unscripted, unrehearsed. These guys want to talk.
The world we're living in right now, there's so much going on. We don't know really what's going on with him.
Right.
We don't know what's going on in his household, maybe how he's feeling.
What I'm learning now is the best thing I can do to educate myself is to listen, to try to understand, to have empathy, to help facilitate that to the young people. Steve, that's a good point about those families or what's being said at the dinner table, That's why we're here.
We're talking about race. We're talking about race in society, in American sports, in the schools, in our homes.
You know, you have empathy when you hear a friend go through a situation, and then you don't feel it until it happens to you.
How far did you look down the street before you saw a face that didn't look like yours?
That's a good question. But again, gentlemen, I don't know what those conversations are like that you're having with your sons.
Thanks to our partners, MCF Mortgage, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, our sponsors, Next Level Lacrosse, and O'Neill Development LLC. Our donors, Justin O'Neill, donor, Winsight Media, and Redwood Investments. Recently on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
This is a bromance in the making, guys. You guys are witnessing this live each week. I'm going to announce it to the coaches for the first time. Gentlemen, we are now on Apple Podcasts. You guys did not know that.
My fear is that, you know, baseball will get shut down and will lead to football not happening at all.
You've already seen, I know less money market Ivy League, Patriot Leagues, which have said no fall sports at all. But when it comes to health and it comes to safety, I mean, come on, can't we all agree on taking the right steps and the right measures?
The rising senior from Gonzaga is going through the same thing that the rising senior in Arizona is going through.
Not only is the athlete being made to feel like he's being or she is being made to feel like they're suffering, it's everyone. It's everyone in the school.
With how we get these young men and women ready for when their seasons do come back.
You're still going to have to be in love with the school.
Right.
Because you're going to have to deal with their curriculum. You're going to have to deal with the course load. You're going to have to still do the work towards being eligible when that time to come back on the court or on the field happens. They're a member of that program, a member of our band of brothers, and I consider them all family. So,
Coach O'Neill, Ariana Grande thanks you. Coach Turner, thank you for being a part of this. Krissy, our engineer.
I see your reversal of the Ariana Grande comment.
What?
Wasn't it you that was talking
Isn't
about
this
her?
my part of Isn't this my pasta of the show? I mean, my part of the show?
You are listening to the best of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, our Season 1 finale. This week on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Are we on the air?
Yes, you are.
Game on the line, down by 2. Are you going for 2 or 3? And who takes the shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tom Schreiber.
Can you talk a little bit about how those playing multiple sports kind of led you to, being your best at lacrosse?
Skills that, I picked up playing football, playing basketball, and translated them over to playing lacrosse.
You know, seeing that you won a gold medal with Team USA, talk to us about that experience and how you felt winning for your country.
Having the game-winning goal as time expires and winning the gold medal halfway across the world.
In his senior year, he led Hopkins to the perfect season en route to capturing the 2005 NCAA Division I Lacrosse Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Kyle Harrison.
I'd like to speak to your historic impact on the game of lacrosse. And honestly, it's not just your impact, but your family, starting with your father. Can you tell our listeners what that journey has been like?
For those who don't know, my dad is from Baltimore, Maryland. He went to Forest Park High School, went to Morgan, and his coach and teammates were, at the time, the first historically black college to start a team.
Questions for the coaches.
From our friend Sean Parker, the voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Should college football just shut it down for 2020?
I don't know that you shut it down. Maybe it's what we're seeing with high school right now, where they're pushing everything to the second semester.
We're blessed, guys. We really are. I just feel blessed tonight, and just to see where we're going, I just feel blessed. That's it.
This week on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Well, we're going to go inside the locker room today and hear from a couple of your former players. Gentlemen, how dangerous is it for the Lakers to play this healthy Portland team? I found that you and your former high school coach have something in common. Connor, do you remember what you listed as your favorite food?
I want to say like Italian food, pasta or something.
There we
Ding,
go.
ding, ding.
That's
You
exactly
right
what
on
they were looking for.
Yes.
I think when the change occurred on the team, because people, at that point, we were the second tier. We wouldn't beat the Massa. We wouldn't beat St. Mary's Riken. We'd give maybe good counsel, good games. I think that's what sparked a fire in everyone.
Talk to the days of being pissed off at Coach Turner.
And again, I think it just, like I said, it kept me accountable, kept me hungry, and allowed me just to, like I said, stay focused on ultimately what my job was.
The kid today is a little different than the kid that we coached in Max and Connor. Without all the social media and all the things that the hype machines.
Why are you taking my boy out of the game? How do you block it out? Do you deal with it later? How does Coach Turner deal with that?
And then I've got a group of coaches who are diverse from where they played and their backgrounds, the positions, and sort of the understanding of the game that they have.
If you're missing Cole, then you got Big Brother over here, and all you have to do is look across the hall, and you've got your other Big Brother over there. So
every Monday night, I'm with my Take a T.O. family, and then the family, just the bond gets stronger and stronger each week.
You are listening to the best of Take a T.O. with Turner and O'Neill, our Season 1 finale.
This week on Take a T.O. with Turner and O'Neill.
Will Roy Rogers get a side of fries? And then the little holster there? You know, that goes in your belt?
You put it on your belt, don't you? You put it on your belt.
If I have to.
Were you a buckaroo?
Oh, Steve.
Hey, come on, we can go back now. Were you a buckaroo when you were a kid? Roy Rogers
Four Corners, the one in Four Corners.
No comment.
Please welcome to the show, Keith Wilford.
What made me so proud about you all starting this podcast was because you didn't do what everybody else was doing. And so part of me had to do a really, really hard job at squashing my reputation and trying to grow my character. So our job is to develop young people through critical thought and curiosity and allow them to explore their life.
You're taking me where I wanted to go next. And I almost called you yesterday.
I just want to thank you, man, for all those moments. And it wasn't just, hey, let's get together. And I'm here working with teams. I mean, it's truly become a friendship.
Check out this and more this Thursday for our episode drop on Take a T.O. with Turner and O'Neill.
This week on Take a T.O. with Turner and O'Neill.
Coach Thompson. Coach Thompson was saving my life.
Coach John Thompson passed away this morning. Gentlemen, your thoughts? Ladies and gentlemen, today's caller has 26 years of service in the NBA, 16 of those in the front office for the Washington Wizards. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the general manager of the Washington Wizards, Mr. Tommy Shepard.
We feel that John's always been able to elevate role players to a much higher level. We proved that over the years with Trevor Ariza and Mike Scott and Markel Webster, Jared Dudley, a lot of guys that come in. You judge a point guard. We always judge it by production, Coach, and that's where it all starts.
Talk to us a little bit about what the Wizards have done as an organization, going along with what is going on in the world today.
Well, I could never have been prouder than the NBA and part of the NBA than what happened when Milwaukee refused to take the court and the way that all that kind of unfolded. That showed, okay, I'm not a numerologist, but 4 years to the date, that's when Colin Kaepernick took a knee in a preseason game and basically gave up the rest of his career.
We were huge Hoya fans going back to USA Arena, Cap Center. The wins, the Final Fours, all the accolades. I mean, think about the things he did for Georgetown University, for Georgetown basketball.
Be sure to listen now at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take a T.O. with Turner and O'Neill.
This week on Take a T.O. with Turner and O'Neill.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first call-in guest, Tony Shropshire.
So when we came to Blair, when I was 13, 14, I felt like I was at home.
And you've seen what it takes to be a success. Where are the shortcomings?
As a woman, we're told to sit in the corner, relax, calm down, don't say much. Okay, as a black woman, it's even worse at times.
Talk to me about how men can help create the change that you're looking for in this space.
Well, I must say, Steve, I am so impressed and pleased with this generation of men thus far. I am seeing encouragement and support of their women more than I did growing up.
Coach O'Neil, you have daughters. What do you believe is your role in supporting an effort that has no limits for them?
I think I show it in a variety of ways to give them no limits. How I treat their mother, their grandmothers.
So very important.
How I'm there to listen. That was a lot of last week, just being there to listen. Sometimes I might not have the answers for the young ladies that maybe her mom might. But as long as I'm there to listen, put my guard down.
So let's welcome Megan of Power for Life Fitness. Did your vision 5 years ago allow you to see this version of Power for Life Fitness in 2020?
The answer is simply not at all. I'll tell you, entrepreneurship is a crazy journey, and it's one that you don't take lightly, but there are so many rewards along the way if you're able to stick it out. In 2019, we were able to impact over 52,000 people's lives, and that was never something that I imagined.
What is your advice to those young ladies?
That's what I would say to younger girls. How did you change the world today?
Check out this and more this Thursday for our episode drop on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neil.
You are listening to the best of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neil, our Season 1 finale.
Coming up with Turner and O'Neil.
DJ Krissy has a microphone, and from now on, we will put a microphone. Krissy, say hello to the people.
Hello.
The Clippers simply choked. What went wrong there? Do we have a visitor? Welcome DJ Los to the podcast.
I want to know that these families are invested in the school, and then we're going to help them throughout that process.
Probably the saddest thing that I've ever seen in coaching is to watch sport separate homes.
How can social media help the recruit? Conversely, how does it hurt the recruit? So scholarships can be lost off your social media.
Very easily. If you walk into the college coach's office right now, there's a whiteboard that is sitting up behind the head coach that has in this year's class of 2021, we need a point guard, we're going to need a center, we're going to need a small forward. And then there's probably 5 to 10 kids
on each
underneath each
depth
position.
chart.
And there's a depth chart. You may have an offer, but you might be the 4th option. My listeners, we're not going to listen to Kurtis right now. We're going to listen to Coach Turner.
Turn my mic off. Don't give me no mic.
I don't know if he's the guy. I don't know if he's the guy that's going to get them over the edge to at least beat the Lakers.
Is that what they're looking? Well, the Lakers aren't there yet.
So I think the
there.
question, has he shown? I think he's always shown up, but I don't know if his best is going to take over.
I just think so many people are used to the Kimba that you saw at UConn, where he takes over and wins these big games.
Or in Charlotte.
Or in Charlotte when he did the same thing.
He had to drop 30.
He had to. Right now, he doesn't have to do that.
Coach Casey here. Check out this week's episode drop and tell a friend to join the team at Take a TO with Turner and O'Neil by following, subscribing, and liking the show.
You are listening to the best of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neil, our Season 1 finale. Coming up with Turner and O'Neil.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 15 of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neil. The Los Angeles Lakers are the NBA World Champs. Oh, here it comes, y'all.
Oh, man. We better have some West Coast
It's like
fans.
another perfect day. Hey, I love it. What? We love it.
NHL and NBA.
Here you go again. Here you go. Did you look later in the script?
No, I
That's
didn't.
later in the script.
I didn't look that
Chemo,
far.
Christmas, I can't. Good gosh almighty.
You were waiting for me to slip up and say something.
Good
so you
gosh
could jump in.
almighty. I can't take this guy anywhere.
Chrissy, play the song. Put the song on.
Where's the one food that you will never eat or never eat again? And that is?
Beets. Oh.
Beets.
Beets are literally the worst things I've ever tasted. Wow. I mean, you can have like anything.
But beets.
Oh, nope. That's
Ladies and gentlemen, taking a TO with us today, please welcome Mr. Chris Likes.
Thank y'all for having me, man. Appreciate it. I'm just trying to stay focused. It's my last year, and really, I have one goal in mind, and that's just to win as many games as I can.
Because you've had to be a leader all your career.
There are different type of leaders. I feel like you can have different type of leaders. Like not everybody's a vocal leader and asserts their dominance or whatever. So I feel like I've always been somebody to lead by example, especially in practice, workouts, off the court, on the court. There's a lot of things like that. I feel like go into leadership. Like if you want your guys to follow you, then you got to act a certain way. You got to act
Recently
on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Paula, you are filling in this week for DJ Krissy. Please introduce yourself.
I've known Casey now for, 16 episodes. I met Steve on an airplane going to a wedding.
The starting five. Okay, so
No.
I'm usually ready for things. I was not ready for that.
Don't make me cry.
Oh, I had something else, but I'm going to leave it at that.
Starting five, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Ken Marangolo.
Most importantly, finding a way to empower other people and making sure everyone's voice gets heard. And that's always been what we've been about. And really, that's where the name First Amendment comes from, First Amendment sports.
I'm rooting for the Rays. We talked about this. We got $1 on this, Kurtis.
They really would have had a shot at this thing. And now,
yeah, but
if the Big Ten comes back and can get their games played, they're kicked out.
Recently
on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Well, this week we welcome DeMatha head coach Mike Jones to the podcast, along with Mr. Bobby Horsey, who is known locally and across the national lacrosse community. Is this a last shot for Antonio Brown?
My new favorite player is DK Metcalf.
Your starting point guard, Magic, Chris Paul, or John Stockton. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach of the DeMatha Stags, Mr. Mike Jones.
Yeah, that's a tough one, Case. Like, I think every coach, if we look back, we can pinpoint things we would have done differently. But I mean, I think, the unique situation that I have, and Steve knows I say this all the time, like, there's not many people that coach basketball, at least, that went through something that he and I both went through. Having to follow someone that was so storied, so successful, so popular.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Horsey.
But most importantly, I love, just passing on my knowledge to the youth. And by doing so, I can do that in, two different areas. One is in the classroom, and one is obviously on the field or on the court, depending on what I'm coaching.
He's I mean every word that I said about Bobby. He's one of the best. Honest, caring, hardworking, just great person for our sport, for the kids, for teaching.
And I would say about both he and Mike, I think the biggest thing, bigger than them just being coaches, is their ability to mentor our youth of today.
Yeah.
And their ability to just continue to give back year in and year out.
Check out this and more this Thursday for our episode drop on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Coming up
this week
on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Welcome to episode 18 of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Well, this weekend was awesome. It was a lot of relaxation. It was great weather, and until today, it was like frosty.
So a couple things here.
Uh-oh.
Does it include my dollar coming out of your pocket?
There's 95 cents for you here. I took 5 cents. I deducted 5 cents for a couple reasons.
Mr. Cole O'Neill.
So we made the choice to come here, and it's been great ever since. And it definitely was something that was a factor in where I was going to go, because I wanted to continue to play somewhere.
Mr. Jared Turner.
Talk to us about your dream opportunity with the sport. You're a two-sport athlete. You continue to play lacrosse and you continue to play hoops. If you could write your destiny right now, how would it play out if you went to college?
Yeah, I mean, it would be amazing if I could try to play both in college. Like, that would be a dream, but knowing how much, like, you have to put into both sports, like, it would be really hard. It would be a really big commitment. So we'll see, like, where my head's at after the end of this year with that, the double commitment thing, maybe trying to play both in college or even playing club like Cole's doing right now. You
call him Dad. Most of Purple Eagle Nation calls him Coach Turner. What is that experience like?
It's like I had to earn everything I got. I'd had a year down in JV, got a lot of time to develop myself as a player, and I think I really just have grown into my role. Last year, I played some bench minutes. Like, I would get in if someone was in foul trouble in my position, but nothing was really just handed to me. I think he's done a really good job of, like, separating me from, like, being his son to me.
Be sure to listen at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take It To You with Turner and O'Neill.
Coming up
this week
on Take It To You with Turner and O'Neill. Back in the engineer's seat is none other.
Let's go.
Than DJ Krissy. How's it going, girl?
Woo! It's good to be back.
You get dinged, fella.
That's right. Round one. Let's go.
You putting your dukes up? If you could invite 4 famous people to dinner, name those 4 people.
But that's guaranteed. They're going to be at the party. You're bringing them to see these 4 people that we're talking about.
Right.
We've thrown the buzzer out the window this week.
We did.
Definitely have, because Kurtis gave us these 30-second questions.
But still found a way to.
Winning 3 lacrosse championships at Gonzaga, we reunite Mr. McCaleb with his high school coach today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Luke McCaleb.
Since I was a freshman, the first thing I realized was I was so well prepared from coming from a historically unbelievable conference like the WCAC, but more importantly, coming from a place like Gonzaga.
Luke, where does that come from? Where did that all kind of start with you about just being a cool customer in all the things that you do?
One mindset that I've always had is never get too high, never get too low. And it really pushes you to find out who you are inside, in your deepest of depths in your heart, who you really are and how hard you can be pushed.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jordan Abdur Raouf.
But talk to the listeners about how you use the ball to gain an opportunity to also go to Cornell, and then talk about how having that experience put you in position to open doors.
Use the game to take you to places that you wouldn't be able to get to otherwise. And then while at university too, just being able to leverage every opportunity that you have because of the sport, right? Like basketball helped me get into Cornell, so I felt like I owed the university to take advantage of the opportunity that they gave me.
You are listening to the best of Take It To You with Turner and O'Neill, our Season 1 finale.
Coming up
this week
on Take It To You with Turner and O'Neill. Our guest from episode 13, AZ Fudd, made her commitment last week to be a UConn Husky.
First of all, you're a bad boy when your name is just the headline.
That's it, right?
I mean, plain and simple. Your name's the headline. Not no sentence, not anything leading into who you are. Kyler Murray.
You know my cues, and you know I'm going to make a mistake.
The buddy system.
The buddy system,
it's
yes.
like the belay, just come.
Here to take a TO with us today, please welcome Mr. Juan Hill.
Considered a privilege and to watch Coach Turner grow and to help him turn the program into a national program was very rewarding.
To talk to the listeners right now about your why and why you're so passionate about the game and about being able to give back.
Please welcome Gonzaga assistant lacrosse coach, Mr. Jeff King.
So I pick on one thing that I know is going to be impactful in the first quarter so that if they do it right, they can see the benefits of it. And then that starts to latch on, and then they buy into the game plan, and that kind of carries through.
How many timeouts do you get per game, Coach O'Neill?
You get 2 per half.
He can't get one of those? You can't
He gets them. He's just sitting here saying
it doesn't sound like it. You know what? We got to have an intervention. You a timeout hoarder.
Jeff, see what you started, man.
You a timeout hoarder. Okay.
I would agree with you. Timeout hoarder.
Whatever. Last week you told me, no, Ravens are a super strong 6-2.
Oh, is that what I said? Did I say it like that, Kurtis?
Yeah, you did. Well,
I'm not the one with the
I have to back Casey on this one. Thank you.
I
think they were still a strong 6-2.
CP3, he's on his way to Phoenix.
How many teams? Is that 3 teams in 4 years for CP3? I actually feel
Houston, OKC, and now Phoenix.
Yeah.
So as Krissy alluded, next week we are not taking off for Thanksgiving. We are going to be right here in the studio, but we will have company as the wives join us. Leah, Erica, and Paula will be right here, and let me tell you, this is going to be fun. The wives take a TO, meaning they will take over the podcast for a special Thanksgiving episode next week, so do not miss the fun. That will be episode 21 next week.
Coming up
this week
on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. And in just a few minutes, it will no longer be our show as the wives are taking over the episode.
The good news is we're not committed to this.
Okay, good.
There's a ding.
No, don't ding me. Okay, write a book. I want to write a book. I want to write a book, and I want it to be good.
Which of our coaching moments will you look back on as a defining moment in our coaching careers?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the takeover begins. We will turn the mics over to the ladies. It's your show now.
Steve has got his game face on. I'm a little nervous.
It's just no answer. He's just ready to go.
Not any old girlfriend, just the wives that
your current wife.
Maybe were your girlfriends.
You might
at the
not
time.
have been married yet.
Well, I think that's wrong because we went out of town and traveled to Vegas for an AAU tournament, and we were dating at the time.
I don't remember watching any games. We were gambling. We were sitting by the pool. We did not go to a game. I'm pretty sure I did not go to any of those games. That's wrong. That's fine. That's fine. We just lost points.
I think you're wrong.
Actually, I can tell you, you went with your ex-girlfriend to that game. Even the boys are getting angry with each other. This is
Those two get angry with each other.
That's
Don't
true.
keep
Fair
me
enough.
out of
Maybe
that
you'll
one.
take a week off next week.
She actually said none of those.
All right.
Erica If I
I know you would. I would thought you would have gotten like hot.
But we in love.
We're also still winning.
I knew she would loosen up before this thing got over. I love it, Erica. Yes.
Be sure to listen at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Coming up
This week
on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Ladies and gentlemen, we're up to our starting 5 questions, 30 seconds each for each coach. One person you'd like to have a mute button for. Ladies and gentlemen, she's here to take a TO with us today. Please welcome Mrs. Christy Winters Scott.
Reestablish the pride that has always been at South Lake. So I knew it was there. I knew that it would take time to get things back on track, but I also had to make sure that the players trusted me. You know, the more that we pour into our youth, especially our girls, I think the better. And it's not easy. It's not easy because a lot of our young teenage girls hold a lot of the cards close to their chest. They're not going to really, say everything because they don't want to seem like a problem or a burden or whatever. James Brown was like the first person that kind of helped me understand what it took to be a pro.
Assuming the health of the Wizards is intact, what is their ceiling for this upcoming season, in your opinion?
But I know enough about John Wall that he is a genuine young man. Just joined an ownership group of a team in Australia today. And then he's gone through these injuries. So I think these past 2 years for John Wall in particular have been very strenuous. And, not a lot of people could go through what he has been through.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Coach Don Brown.
What should be some things that maybe we should focus on first prior to thinking that we can go back into it like we normally do?
So, one thing that we did was we were really, really creative in using and utilizing Zoom, with the Nike app.
If I'm a recruit, okay, young lady, and you're sitting down with the family and the recruit, What is your core principle?
See, I live by three things. My standards are discipline, hard work, and exceed expectations.
Where are you in terms of shaping the team that Coach Dawn Brown wants to see night in and night out?
Well, I think that you were able to see a glimpse of it versus Arkansas State. The makeup of as far as us want to be able to push the ball. We want to play fast. This is a new generation. They want to play, and they want to be able to have free range of motion within the offense. For us, we want to kind of create some havoc defensively and allow that to transition over into some offensive buckets for us. So we're excited about this program. Continue to support us and keep us in your thoughts and your prayers. Thank you so much.
Listen to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill on your favorite podcast platform. Take a TO can be heard on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Spotify, and 15 podcast platforms in total. Tune in on your preferred podcast platform. Be sure to listen, subscribe, and spread the word. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill records each week, with episode drops each Thursday at 11 a.m.
Coming up
this week.
This week on Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Question 1. Mount Rushmore of college basketball coaches. 5 names. You can only keep 4. Who do you remove? Dean Smith, Coach K, Pat Summitt, John Wooden, or Gino Auriemma. Please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Scott Abraham. What makes DC area sports the unique atmosphere that it is, from your perspective?
It's different every day. There's always a different story to follow. There's always a different story to chase. So I just think that's kind of the thrill of it. There's no monotony of the same old type of stuff. It's always different. There's always something to talk about in this town. Follow my dreams in a sense, and I'm living my dream, especially these last couple of years with all these championships in D.C. In this D.C. area, it's a gold mine for high school talent, and there's just so many remarkable student athletes in Virginia, Northern Virginia, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and of course in D.C.
What do you think happens when Clemson and Notre Dame play again, and if Clemson beats them, does Notre Dame still get a shot at it?
Looking at their schedule, the Dolphins will have something to play for. The Bills will have something to play for. The Rams are trying to make some noise. The Jets
are playing for Trevor Lawrence.
Right. They fired their
I
defensive
think they wanted to win yesterday.
Who plays cover 0 when you know the only play that's there is to throw
and the
a Hail
corner
Mary?
fell for the hitch and go. I'm like, why would they throw a hitch?
Because they're not stopping at the hitch.
Right.
It's the go you have to worry about.
He wants out. He's not saying it. He currently doesn't have an agent. So there's no conversation being had between the organization and his people. You're dead wrong.
You're joning on Ty Lue?
Tell me I'm wrong, though. Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't know if you're wrong or
okay.
not.
Okay. Go ahead. Y'all keep talking. I'm going to look it up and show you a picture. He has a booster seat on the bench, I swear.
Be sure to listen at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. You are listening to the best of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, our Season 1 finale.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you call bonus content. You don't hear this on the podcast, but we're going to put together at some point a reel of some stuff, and we want you to hear it. So this is what happens when the mics are on, but it doesn't go to Podcast Nation. But if you're listening to it, I guess it is now an episode, or it's on some sort of reel that we're going to put out there. Coach Casey, why don't you like me?
That might be in your head.
I think you don't like me, little brother.
I appreciate your honesty for thinking of it and sharing that, but I think it's in your head.
Really?
Didn't you just get a nice poinsettia?
So now you dated the episode.
Well, maybe Erica likes you.
And you
Paula.
don't. That's what it is.
Sometimes when I sit over here, not on a booster seat, by the way.
Oh, I forgot. Yes, I forgot the Ty Lue booster seat. Hold on, Krissy. Is there something? Because I thought about it. Isn't there? See if you can grab something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, go grab it.
Before I do that, can I just mention that everyone got a nice poinsettia plant?
Ooh.
Except for DJ Krissy.
Your engineer did not get one.
Just throwing that out there.
Wow. Actually, we'll save that for next week. We'll save the booster for next week. Wow, Coach Casey. She just called you out.
You have some gear. We've gotten you some gear.
I've got gear too.
Kurtis said you didn't like flowers. So that's why.
Oh.
Did you tell a lie right here on the podcast? You did
If you
not.
want to be honest, I'm not going to be honest. I'm going to stir it up a little bit.
That did not happen.
Right? No.
Wow.
No.
Is Casey throwing shade right now?
Yeah, he is.
Always. I got to protect myself.
All right, we're gonna have a truth session.
I got to stand up.
We're gonna have a truth
For what
session.
is
That
right.
did not happen. Coach Turner, talk to us. I know currently you are not what I would say or what you would say is your best self because you don't have basketball. Talk to us about how that is. I know it bugs you, so speak on it.
I'm very. I mean, we're gonna talk truths. Frankly, I'm frustrated. I'm saddened. I'm angry. I've got a lot of emotions tied into this, and I really, really am at a place where I'm frustrated that I feel like the powers to be at the top aren't talking to the people on the ground level, and the people who are being made to suffer for this are the kids. And as I watch the country move in so many different ways, I totally get it. I totally understand, our safety, our health. But I think there's a way to make it work. But I think everyone has to be able to be at the table to have it work and be able to have conversation to agree and to disagree. And that has yet to happen. And the kids that, and I can only talk for my kids, but I know it's for all kids who aren't being able to do things. They're suffering. We keep talking about being in control of and trying to help our young men and women with the mental health issues.
That's been a concern of yours.
It's a major concern of mine, and it's not about, which I think most people would assume, oh, he's the basketball coach, he just wants to get on the court because that's the game he coaches and that's what he wants to do, and he's not concerned about everything else. No, I've been concerned for months.
And while you want to get on the court, of course.
Oh, no doubt. And but at the same time, I want to do it the right way. I certainly want to make sure that we're looking at the safety of everyone. But there's enough things that have happened to show us how we can make it work.
So you think there's a right way?
I think there is. I think you have to still move at a certain pace with it. I don't think we can just jump back and it's practice, packed gyms. I mean, there's ways to make it work, and I've seen it work.
We watched basketball for most of the summer.
Not even that. I've seen it work with the level of kids that I'm coaching.
Yeah.
There are kids who were able to play in showcase events all summer long, whether it be lacrosse, whether it be baseball, whether it be basketball,
soccer, basketball,
and it has happened. So why aren't we getting to the table together to figure out the best way? I'm in agreement. We're back to school, which is great. I think that had to happen too, and I think that had to happen first. The education piece is always going to be the number one piece, but we found a way to make that work. Now let's find a way to make the other piece of why a lot of the kids are at our schools work.
Well, and here's the thing. We certainly want to make sure that a robust education where these young men and women who are in schools, private or public, can be set for life. We can prepare them for life. But we also know that there's a piece with extracurricular activities, whether it be the band, whether it be chamber choir, whether it be art, whether it be athletics, or whatever it may be.
There is a reason we always had recess as a part of our education system in the U.S.
And they're not, those extracurriculars, which I don't know what piece of the pie they take up in terms of the whole educational piece, but, we do know that pie consists of social emotional, it's a teach, it's a coach, it's a mentor, it's friends, it's all of that plays into the pie because the academics is not 100% of why our kids are in school. If that were the case, we could homeschool everybody, but there are things that these students miss, by not being on a campus or not being in an environment of their peers.
Like for me, I'm very mindful. My partner right here, I love to death. I want them to be able to get their sport back. I'm mindful that they are the ones who lost the sport last year.
Right.
But the other piece of that is, and at first I didn't think about it this way, but I really started thinking about it more and more as I've sat in the house and we haven't been able to figure out how to get, as they put us as the first sport this year, how to get us back to it in our area. Because we have a league right now that there's more than 70% of the teams are in practices and playing. The 3 DC schools are not.
Right.
So to me, I've always been a believer in it. If this is one conference, we should be moving as one.
Right.
And that's not happening. So you have kids right now who are feeling bad that maybe they're not somewhere else because they really want it so bad. And they're watching these kids as coaches, put their stuff on Instagram to show that
they're getting burned,
they're back
right?
at it and they're getting burned. And my kids are being made to suffer from having to watch that and are sending me, DMs and without even saying anything with it, like, look, coach. And so for me, I'm feeling for them. But as I go back to saying what I was saying about for Casey, I definitely want to make sure that spring sports get what they deserve. But I also look at the other line of it is that if they do, the kids who lost out are already gone. They're seniors.
Right.
They're out of college right now. So do we just say, okay, well, because we want to make sure that this one group or this one season gets a season back, that you just now tell the kids who are here, hey, you got yours last year. You may not get it this year, to be fair. I don't agree with that. I think you try to find a way to make it work as we move in, because I've said, hey, well, winter sports are all indoors for the most part. Well, if spring sports going to be playing in the spring outdoors, why not have a winter season at the same time?
So here's the thing, Coach O'Neill, you are literally 60 days away from getting on that field, right? You start in February.
Well,
traditionally,
February 20 is the start date for our conference.
So you're a few days away
Others
from
are
60
later.
days.
Correct.
Out. So
but
you
they've
lost
changed it. They pushed it back to April 12th. So April 12th now would be the start date, which is very promising for our sport.
Definitely.
In the spring
Right.
sports. Vaccine is out. Opportunity for more people to get that vaccine. But still, with the numbers hopefully going down when it coming back to April and people doing the right thing, we got a chance to have a real season. And we told the boys this now. But if we were 60 days away, I wouldn't feel
You wouldn't feel good about it.
So confident about that at all. Look, to go back to Steve, the hardest thing for most kids is to see what others are doing. And you look around the country, you look on TV. ESPNU has high school football games on, high school basketball games on.
IMG's playing.
Kids are playing, you can watch on YouTube lacrosse tournaments and soccer tournaments that are going around with the clubs and the AAUs around the country and everywhere. And it is very, very frustrating, extremely frustrating to see this. I've mentioned this before, but to these kids, talk about the 3 things with them: school, social life, extracurriculars. And those extracurriculars can be what you mentioned. Could be the band, could be the theater. Doesn't have to all be athletics. But 3 things to young people, that's a big deal. And when you take away pretty much
two-thirds, right?
2 of those 3, the social aspect of it, and then your sports, that's really crushing these young kids. It's really crushing these young kids.
And we talked about this before,
And I agree with you, by the way, that, look, Big Ten Conference is going to move as the Big Ten Conference. SEC is going to move as the SEC. Conferences need to work together.
You've mentioned it before. You've given a nod to it because you won't leave them out. There's managers involved. There's the...
It's every kid in the school. Like, they have to have an outlet. And sitting in a house...
For 9 months now.
Is not the outlet.
You've got the Fathers Club. They fundraise and they do some good things with that. And you're not able... See, what I don't think people understand is for those who are the casual viewer or the casual fan, they look on allmetsports.com and they see your scores. They can go to the WCAC website. They see the scores. They see the promo shot of you with your hand up calling out 2 or whatever it is you do. What they do not see is the 90, 120, 180 minutes that you are being a father figure, a mentor, a coach, a friend, a shrink, whoever you have to be to those kids at that time. They don't see where you take Jared and put him with another kid because Jared can make that jump shot, and that kid needs to hear it from someone else besides coach on his form and all that stuff. All of those things are missing.
Well, I think people always...
And I'm missing the hot dogs.
Well,
Go on.
as a coach, or as people who see the coach, they assume that basketball, I'm not going to speak just to our sport, but they assume whatever the sport is just the time when they pay their $5 to come watch the game.
Right.
Like, that's all we do.
We see an hour, 43 minutes.
Like,
that's
all
what
we
you do.
I mean, that the actual playing of the game and coaching of the game is probably in the range of 10 to 20% of what we really do.
Right. There's X's and O's. There's whiteboards. There's
But
meetings. There's WCs.
I'm talking about nothing that even deals with basketball.
All right,
It's the things you said before. Making sure kids are taking care of business in the classroom. Being a father figure, mentor, confidant, a person that they can deal with, that can help them deal with other aspects of their lives. As I say it all the time, and I talk in recruiting when we're talking to families. For the next 4 years, I'm going to spend more hours in a day with your child than you will.
You told me that when I got my first head coaching job. Because what did you tell me? I coached women's basketball. You said that I have to tell these parents, from now, from November 1 till March 1, your daughters become my daughters, right? And you got a lot of sons down there.
A whole lot
over the years.
Whole lot of them.
So, you play a different role than people see on paper.
Definitely. And I was going to say, you keep using the word son, and you mentioned Jared's name. I have to be honest, I have to take my coaching hat off in this whole pandemic as well, in the situation we're sitting in now, because my child is being affected. As we talk about the parents and the feeling for your child and feeling for, I'm living their experience right now. I'm living the experience at the times that they feel or they question whether I'm playing their child enough. I'm feeling it for the fact that my son's could have a whole nother year ripped out of his life, which is the year where he should be having an opportunity to shine and showcase himself. I think right now I probably will blow a gasket if I have to hear another coach say to me, or hear another coach say to me, well, when we get a chance to see him live.
Right.
Like, it's killing me, because I think my own child could be in a position to maybe already be in a position of picking a school.
But aren't the NCAA coaches in a different realm too of a dead period? Now, granted, their
dead period for basketball now is.
But to see them live,
so who knows when? So they're not going to get to see him live in the time that I would coach him anyway.
Sure.
So I want to be able to make sure that. I think one thing that gets misplaced is that every kid doesn't shine best with his high school team, and every kid doesn't shine best with his club team. So you want to be able to have the best of both worlds being covered, because there are kids who are going to look better on the court when they're playing with me in our environment compared to sometimes what they look like on the court playing in their AAU environment. So right now, these kids are missing a lot of opportunity to have film put in place, to have them have an opportunity to gain an unbelievable experience, and certainly use that vehicle to get them to an opportunity to get those college scholarships. And more than people realize, it's a big part of why most of the kids pick the schools they go to. Yes, they are going to pick these schools because they're great educations, great academic schools, great reputations in terms of building up young men and young women on the women's side. But a lot of kids come to these schools that they choose because they believe that school is going to help them through their sport, through their activity, have a chance to go to college. And right now, there's a group of kids who are being heavily affected, especially I just have to say, in D.C. right now.
Well, you said it before, like you mentioned soccer, the Heights. They're huge on soccer, right? And those kids may have, while they can look at Gonzaga's curriculum or Archbishop Carroll's curriculum or Bishop McNamara's curriculum, if those things are somewhat equal, then we start looking at distance, the commute. We start looking at the program you're going to be a part of. If you go to a program, I know a kid whose brother is at Landon, but he is at Bullis because the wrestling program is so much better at Bullis. And this kid's ridiculous. This kid was in 8th grade winning high school tournaments.
Right.
His name is Joel someone. He lives out in Germantown. I'm going to keep him on your radar. I've seen some of his matches. So they do pick the school based on a lot of factors. If you live in Southern Maryland, you might not pick a school in Leesburg. I get it. But all things being equal, where we have a 30 to 90-minute commute wherever you go in the D.C. area, you might pick, McNamara because their archery program is best, or Gonzaga. You're picking Gonzaga, St. John's, or DeMatha, maybe Paul VI every now, for basketball. And for football, you're probably I mean, McNamara, I don't think they register high on the football scale every year.
But they produce some pros out of that program. Maybe they haven't won maybe won some WCAC championships, but they've had some dudes.
Every school
and I
does.
think at the end of the day,
Every
it's not even about the championships. Parents are going to try their best to find a fit that fits their child, that gives them the best opportunity to get that exposure that they need to move on and use that sport and get a great education to get on to college.
For 8 years. Yeah. For high school and then moving on to college, and so be it if they become a pro, but just to get that opportunity. These 8 years, we've mentioned it before, you get one shot at it.
That's it.
You get one shot, and then it's the
Well,
real,
you brought that up
real-
first, I think, several episodes ago.
That's it. I mean, so you got to just get after it. And look, it's a race in this area for a lot of different sports. It is a big deal in this area and in the country too. I mean, because that's what you see on your TVs and on your phones. But it is a big deal to be playing high school sports in the DMV.
So,
Whatever sport it is.
We mentioned this.
Hockey's getting up there now. I mean,
Yes.
baseball too. I mean, you've got historic, great programs. We're in an area, and we've interviewed some really talented young people that are going to go on to do great things. But Steve, you're right. It's a big deal, and again, it's a difficult situation to be in, especially in my shoes, working at a school. Because I
You're
know
more
for
than a lacrosse coach.
Yeah, absolutely. More than a coach.
Let's give me a
working
timeout
there.
real quick. Let's make
The
sure we
people
set
are
the
working-
stage.
Our people are trying to do their best.
For those of you who are listening for the first time, catching this bonus coverage, we have Coach Casey O'Neill, who's the Assistant Athletic Director at Gonzaga College High School here in Washington, D.C. He's also the very successful head men's lacrosse coach down there. And we also have Coach Steve Turner, who is going to be entering his 16th year. Is that correct?
We don't know yet, but would be 17.
Oh, this would be number 17.
as a head coach?
17 as a head coach, but 22 years. This is 22 years from me at Gonzaga.
And he is the head men's basketball coach down there at the same school, the Gonzaga College High School program. I interrupted you, Coach O'Neill.
No, it just hit me that I'm 14 years now, entering year 14. Not too far behind for the little brother over here.
A little brother. Well, here's one thing we have talked about, and I will not have this conversation if we don't make this space available for. There are kids with special needs who play allied sports. They're not getting their education like they need to, the one-on-one, the FaceTime with their teachers, and they're not getting, part of that social emotional you talked about, part of the mental health that you're talking about, Steve, is being able to be affirmed, being able to build that confidence. There are kids in allied programs, I know specifically in Montgomery County, who physically or mentally would not start on a varsity football team. But there are other sports like softball or like bocce ball that these kids do play. Mm-hmm. And I've sat in on an allied bocce ball tournament, and you would think, for these kids, it's just as big as when Prentice makes a game-winning shot.
Oh, no doubt.
And I think because there's space for achievement there with whoever the kid is. Now, some kids' level of achievement may look different than another kid's level of achievement, but they're missing their sports as well.
I want to go back to when we did the earlier starting five, and I shouldn't have said this about swimming, but swimming is another one too. The dedication, wrestling, all these sports, but swimming, where parents are driving, getting up at 4 a.m. to take their kids to the pool when they're swimming for their all-star teams or whatever it is, and they're putting in those hours before they even go to school.
Right.
That's what those swimmers do. Just, again, clearly it's tough to get to the Olympics. It's tough to get to wherever it is. But they're using that. They're doing that because it's going to get them into a college. They go swim for Notre Dame or they go swim for American, whatever it is, so they can get that education.
Give me Miami.
Swim for the Hurricanes.
When I coached one of my first coaching jobs, I was coaching the freshman girls basketball team, or was it JV at the time? I don't know. And we were in a school that had one gym. Our practices were 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
That's when we had to practice. So, those are the early hours. But, back to the allied sports, there are these students who play allied sports along with students who play, we'll call it traditional sports.
Yep.
And, when we look at the allied sports and what they're missing, the affirmation that they're missing in being able to build that set of skills to be successful at that sport, then we look at, we've talked about it before, the marching band, the people at the concession stand, your managers. You have students, I believe, in some of your sports that get behind the mic to call the games, right? For
Absolutely.
First Amendment or
Film
whoever.
it,
Yeah.
put on production
so
videos.
it's not, we're going back to like episode 1 or 2 now, right?
Yeah.
It's not 15 people on your team plus 4 coaches and a trainer. That's 20 people. There's 68 people involved with your program who make it all work. From the, I'm repeating what I said in a previous episode, from the people who take the receipts at the gate, to the people who run security, they sweep up after the games, they have to put the baskets down, good old Clarinda Carter, she's going to get behind that merch station and sell that, and those real good hot dogs. I think y'all got burgers and fries too down there, don't you?
Sometimes.
We do
I
sometimes.
like when the Chick-fil-A shows up as well.
Yeah, but
I don't think there's anybody that
Well,
doesn't want anybody that wants those things back at all.
Who does or does not?
Does not.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wants it back. The hard part, I think the hardest part in our little niche is seeing it slowly happen around the country.
Right.
And I think this is to your point. Is that correct, Steve? You're seeing other people do this, but it also goes back to are we doing it the right way? Are people behaving or distancing, or are we attacking all? You know what I mean?
I
didn't mean to interrupt Kurtis.
No, but I just think that Casey, people who sit in the seat that we both sit in as coaches, we sit on the ground level.
Right.
We're asked we're empowered in a lot of ways to deal with so many other aspects as we talked about, the other 80 to 90% of what people don't realize our job is. And I think that the frustrating thing for me is it doesn't have to be me, but someone who sits in the same seat as me, who is sitting with other people like me, like-minded like me, thinking of ways outside the box. Because we know this, no matter, even your season, if you get to have your season this year, Casey, they still have to think a little bit outside of the box.
Correct.
How to make it work.
Oh, there's a million things to get there.
Well,
the preparation
but the
leading
people
up to
who
it,
are truly going to think outside the box are us coaches. And we haven't really been brought to the table to have discussions with the people who are making the final decisions, who aren't thinking like we're thinking to make it work for our kids. That's what's really, really frustrating.
So they're looking on a more broad scope.
Yes, they're looking at
numbers, metrics.
Yes,
to each his own.
Yeah. I'm.
So we've got.
See, he needed to get that out, which was good.
Well, no,
I'm
that's
glad
great. We're in bonus material now.
We are.
We are in bonus material with Coach Casey O'Neill.
And I'm going to add one more thing. I said, well, think about it. We're talking now just about the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are in life. Everybody, based on what they may do for their profession, has something that they do to take themselves away. For most of our kids, it's their sport.
Okay.
Could be fishing.
The guy who's leaving in January, it's running to his golf course.
Right.
So everybody has an outlet. And right now, unfortunately, our kids are not being able to escape to what I would call their sanctuary. And I'm just going to be honest, neither am I.
Yep.
Well, that is, and I wanted to comment on this to what you said earlier. I've mentioned it probably a half dozen times in these 24 episodes, but there's more to basketball than basketball. There's more than putting, that basket in the hoop and you're unable to serve as best you can in that capacity. Certainly, you can support your guys, via text. You can support your guys with phone calls, with FaceTimes, with Zooms. But there's something expectorant about being on that hardwood, that there are things that happen on that hardwood that can't happen over Zoom. And I'm not talking about you can run a layup line. I'm not talking about you run the shell drill. I'm not talking about you run, a UCLA fast break. I'm talking there are things that happen because what was it? When Denzel, and Remember the Titans, walked onto the football field, he said, this is my sanctuary. That's your sanctuary, right?
Yep.
What happened?
No doubt.
What happened?
He's looking at the camera.
No, I'm not looking at the camera. I'm looking at the fact that the light came on in the other room. I'm wondering if Chrissy's got some ghost up in here.
Oh, no, that's what I'm talking about.
I see.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That or who's bugging me.
Right. No, it's, that is your sanctuary. And when you get on that lacrosse field, there's something about the way it smells. There's something about that crisp morning air for a Saturday practice. There's something about the way that equipment room smells, maybe bad, but, that you got that and it was snatched from you last year. And, that's where, and I'm sorry I'm speaking to him more because he's bumping up against not having a season. We have hope over here.
December 10th was our start date. We haven't started.
Right. Yeah, that Kurtis, I'm glad you mentioned that because the biggest thing I miss, and it is the games are awesome and competing and get those nerves and being with the guys, pregame speeches, postgame celebrations,
running through a wall for
fun,
Coach Casey,
or then figuring out what you're going to say to the guys if you have a tough loss. But it is that walk, from the office to practice. Phone gone, no more emails from the parents, no more BS that you got to deal with. You get to just go be with the kids and your assistant coaches for the next 2 hours.
I just realized it. When you take that walk, you have on headphones. You're listening to Megan Thee Stallion, aren't you?
No, I actually have. Why you got to say that, man? When I'm in a serious
He's
moment.
listening to Savage. Classy, booty, ratchet. That's what he's listening to.
Actually, you know what? Sometimes when we do let the kids listen to music while we're stretching and warming up, I don't know if I would put that song on. Right. They might.
But no, so you got that a few times last year.
It's just that conversation with the kids stretching or just that
this is what it is. Tell me I'm wrong. It's Hunter. How did that history test go, right?
Yeah, how's the history test? Hey, what'd you all get up to, this past weekend? What's going on? Or just something just as silly as talking about, did you see the Caps game last night?
Right.
Or, hey, the Wizards, are they going to ever win a game?
Coach, I fell asleep, blah, blah, I didn't see the end.
Right, just talking there.
It's everything.
And they
the
want
dudes
that.
razzing with each other, the coaches razzing each other.
Right.
You can't put a price tag on those.
And just
those
ribbing
moments,
each other
those
or letting them in and then having fun after. It's that's it right there.
And that's one of the reasons why you do it. I know.
And we do early morning practices on some used to on weekdays, but we can't really do as much. But on the weekends, and it was awesome.
It's the best.
It's the best. The kids are up and at 'em.
I'm missing it.
And then you checking the watch, making sure somebody's not going to be late.
Right,
he's sprinting out of that locker room.
Yeah, he is.
Because we got the clock winding down.
And it's those other experiences too. Not just with, like you said, you talked about the numbers of our programs. It's sitting up in my office watching a freshman in JV practice.
Thank you.
Looking at who could be next. Like,
because it's not 7:45.
We're not
watching and walking up to the bus.
Coach, you're never in just the now. Like, we try our best to be all the way, certainly in the moment of whatever it is we're doing when we got the team together. But you're still always trying to. It's a chess game. You're trying to play chess and figure out. Okay, I'm going to lose these guys this year. Let me see which young buck might be the next. Who's up next? Like, who's up next? And for me, that's a fun part of doing my chemistry project and figuring out how I can put all the pieces together to get the A on the project.
So I'm going to I'd like to get back to some of that, but I'm going to go back into my bag of questions. Krissy, you are on the hot seat next. I want you to talk to us about the experience over 24 episodes of running this podcast. Before the pandemic started, or even before we started this, we didn't have this podcast to do. Tell me where your place is in this podcast and how do you feel it's come together, your part in it, everyone's part in it. Obviously, we've gone from episode 1 on your birthday, where Coach O'Neill in turn did not know it was your birthday because I said it and he's like, wait, is it your birthday? And then to now, what have you seen? Because you've seen a lot of projects in terms of, you and I went to broadcast school together. We've built a lot of things together, from the business to this side of it. What are you seeing? What do you like about being here? And if she says nothing, I'm scared, but what do you like about being here? Talk to us about that.
I think the best part is just, I like when everyone calls in.
Thank
That's
you.
Fun,
I thought you were going to say when Coach O'Neill's. No, sorry.
Gotta love Hollywood. I think my favorite part is just the general banter, and we all just kind of have fun, whether the microphone is on or off. It's just a good time having everyone in and goofing off and taking a step away from the usual day.
That's good.
That's your thing.
Short and sweet.
All right.
She's professional.
We love it.
We do
Smart,
love it.
strong.
She's afraid Kurtis is going to hit that ding button. on
I'm
her.
not hitting any ding button. This is unedited, uncensored,
Is this my starting five?
unscripted. We are right
own?
here. I would say
You know
for
what?
me,
That you just gave me an idea.
what's that?
She cussed.
She
said shit.
That's what happens in bonus coverage.
Let's go. And then I said it. What the?
We got you on tape.
This cannot end well for me.
So
It's Hollywood.
I think she said the starting 5. So we get the starting 5 every week. I think on next week's episode, if it's going to, if people are going to hear this before, we change it up. So we're going to do something that we'll announce on the show later.
Okay.
But I think we got to come up with the questions.
Okay, go for it.
Flip it.
Flip it. You asking Krissy? You asking
And
me?
I know we
We're
did
asking
that
the
when it
both
was
of you.
BJ. So the starting 5 in the
think
Christmas episode will be our questions.
How did I get in on this?
You're in.
Because you're part of the team.
Because you just said, "Oh
shit."
So you have been indoctrinated into the starting 5. Next week, Krissy, folks, you're hearing it here first, or you might hear it after this.
I just got to remind myself
laughing,
to
she's
come up with the
blushing.
questions.
All right, so starting 5 is coming our way next week. The coaches will author the starting 5. I don't know if you'll hear this before or after that
We're just gonna
happens.
have the 5 questions, and then we'll both, So you know what? Since you're so bitter about not being asked first 2 weeks in a row, maybe 3, according to him, is all season.
Right?
It wasn't all season.
You
It
come
was-
up with 3 questions.
very,
I'll come
very
up
recent.
with 2. Okay.
All right, so it's a 3-2 split.
Deal.
Okay.
That's a deal.
That's
a deal. So I'm going to go through. Let me tell you what I like about this. And we all got to talk about what we like. That's the next thing that's on the table. I like that you guys had a concept that was good. And when you guys got together, we took a good concept and made it great. I'll be honest, and this might be selfish. My favorite part of producing Take a T.O. with Turner and O'Neill, I was just saying it to Paula yesterday. You guys have never once questioned the content that I've produced or the advertisers, the commercials, any of that. You put that trust in me, even to the point where with the starting 5, you don't know what the heck I'm going to ask. Even to me saying, let's record some bonus coverage, you guys didn't say, well, what are you going to ask? You just put the headphones on and let's go. So you've trusted me to produce something that you feel will support what you guys want to get out of it. Then I would say my second favorite thing is the camaraderie, for sure. The camaraderie. Like, again, I mentioned it before. I played some high school sports. I was never that great. So I was not in the locker room to get that, that super camaraderie thing. And I feel like we have that here. So that's what I like.
We definitely do, and we definitely have fun. I mean, we text almost every day.
Right.
Usually led by you, by the way.
Okay. Game day.
It's
and usually followed up with a muscle
With
by
the
you
muscle, baby.
or a let's go by Steve, right?
Now he started Let's Go. I picked up on that.
Let's Go is the best.
I'm usually emojiing the love and
Yeah, you are. But you use
every now and
the-
then I'll throw a Let's Go in if I haven't
You
seen
threw
it.
a caricature in there the other day.
Oh yeah.
And mine looks just like yours. I almost sent one back. Mine looks just like yours. So we good? 10? 15? All right, we're good in 15? All right, good. We got content. We're good to go. We're probably going to have to, I don't know what we're going to do.
Do we go to the next segment and get it taped before he gets there?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to. Let's. All right, folks, this is your bonus coverage. We'll have more another time, but this is our bonus coverage.
Let's go.
Let's go.
You are listening to the best of Take a T.O. with Turner and O'Neill, our Season 1 finale.
Is Johnny Manziel the answer in Cleveland? Enough said on the.
When was
on the
that
last
question written? 2 years ago?
Because he's there now. I mean, is he the guy?
I mean,
I think currently he's their guy, but is he the guy to get them to the promised land?
I thought Baker was the guy there, right? I mean, Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny's gone.
Johnny's not
It's
there,
Baker.
man.
You know
You're
what?
right, you're
Maybe
right.
you caught an editing issue. Baker, I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
Wow.
Either way.
Can we edit that out?
There's not.
You gotta edit that back.
I did
I'm
write
thinking,
that.
I'm like, did I miss
Go ahead,
something?
ask your
Johnny
question. Go
Manziel?
ahead, ask your question. Ask it again.
Baker and Johnny are similar. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Number.
I love it. Here we go.
Let's make sure it's Baker and make sure that he wasn't
It
arrested.
is Baker.
All right, can we look that up
It's Baker.
first?
It's Baker. It is
All right.
Baker.
And I've got an iPad.
It is Baker.
With the World Wide Web on it.
It is Baker.
That's why I was laughing. I thought you were trying to trick us into something. I was like, I'm not falling
Well,
for
I
this
was.
one.
That's
Today's outtakes taken by
I may love pasta.
Gonzaga basketball.
I'm not falling for Money Manziel.
You're
man.
falling for the Johnny Manziel trick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, number 5 is.
I think we.
Yes, the thing he's out.
The starting 4.
Brought to you by Money Manziel.
Oh God! I needed that. Laugh.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that's good.
Krissy, can we call it or do we have to ask the fifth?
No, we got to get the fifth.
And scene.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, number 5 is Baker. You better get Paula over here.
By the way, some of that you have to do outtakes that we put out there.
We got plenty right here, right now.
Man.
All right. All right, so Baker is the starting quarterback currently. Is that correct?
Yes, he is.
I could ask who has more to prove, Tom Terrific or Coach in New England, but I saw that on TV. Someone's already done that.
No, go ahead, go with it.
All right.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. We'd like to thank our friends of the program. Richard Butts Jr., Gene and Clarinda Carter, Sean Clifton, Paula Cross, Justin O'Neill, Susan and Brendan O'Neill Sr., Amy O'Neill Richard, Damian and Brooke Stevenson, Marcus Taylor. If you'd like to become a friend of the program, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Friends of the Podcast.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our partners, sponsors, and donors. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, Peace Players International, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, and Collins Funeral Home. Our donors, Redwood Investments, Justin O'Neill, donor, and Winsight Media. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy. All material is the exclusive property of the podcast and may not be copied, rebroadcast, or used in any way without written consent of the podcast. The views, ideas, and commentary of podcast guests are solely their own and not necessarily endorsed by the podcast. You may submit questions, podcast ideas, and commentary to turneroneillpodcast@gmail.com. No compensation is offered for submitted material. Should we choose to use your idea, comment, or question, you agree to your likeness, social media identity, and or information being used on the podcast. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is recorded weekly and distributed via Google Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, and other popular podcast platforms. Some portions of the podcast may be pre-recorded. Be sure to search and subscribe. Join us socially on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and O'Neill and subscribe. Our website is www.turnerando'neill.com. Partnership opportunities are available.